This was the summer of 1962. A group of villagers living near a forest in central India were quite scared because they'd been repeatedly attacked by a sloth bear. So they went to the nearby town and requested the authorities, "Could you please send someone over to kill this bear?" So M.K. Ranjit Singh was called. He had been born into one of those royal families of India, and just like many princes in his time, he had been trained to hunt in the forests of the country. So at this time, when the villagers came seeking his help, he wasn't exactly living the life of royalty in a big cushy palace. He had gone to college and he had joined the Indian administration system. So he was the assistant collector of that region. So now M.K. Ranjit Singh reached the village and the villagers led him to that spot where the sloth bear had repeatedly attacked them. So he hid behind a rock, he had a gun in his hand and he was waiting for the bear. But instead of the bear, a tiger strolled into the clearing. Now M.K. Ranjit Singh had a gun in his hand and he had the right to shoot tigers if he wanted. His old hunting instinct also rose within him. So he lifted the gun and aimed it at the tiger. The tiger came walking towards the rock. It was just within 40 meters. The tiger possibly hadn't seen him yet. And he took a very careful aim at the tiger. But somehow his eyes refused to focus on the gun. They wandered towards the tiger's magnificent stripes, its courageous walk, its very gentle eyes. He simply no longer felt like shooting this wonderful animal. So the tiger just went on its way and he came back home. This incident was very pivotal in his life. M.K. Ranjit Singh would be one of the main voices that would fight to preserve India's forests and wildlife. He would also be one of the main people that created the laws and rules that prevent shooting and hunting animals in India to this day. He also helped create the rules on how people should behave when they enter forests as tourists. Hi, this is Sangeeta, the host of this channel, and this episode is part 1 of our series on India's wildlife conservation journey. Joining me in this episode to discuss wildlife and forests during the British rule in India is...
Hello, you may know me, you may not know me, but I am Shambhavi. I am reappearing on this podcast once again. We are here to talk about wildlife parks, tigers, and basically they are significant for our ecosystem.
Wow. Tigers, I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear from you. Welcome back, Shambhavi. I remember that you have a knack of changing accents. I'm guessing British is today's flavor.
Yes, it is.
Shambhavi, I spoke a little while earlier about how kings in those days were very fond of hunting. If you can describe how hunting was done in the olden days, and I'm talking about sometime when the British were still ruling India.
It was just basically they would get the approval of the government and then they would head into the jungle on an elephant's back and there would be like a government in charge, a government official, which would order a bunch of beaters, which were local natives with sticks in their hands. He would order them to go into the jungle and basically do their job. They would clamber, beat the bushes with the sticks in hand. And this would basically disrupt the whole environment of the forest. Then all the animals in the jungle would be scurrying hither thither, which would obviously also disturb the tiger, and then it would be out in the open. the British or basically the white people would shoot it to death.
So the creature, when it gets scared by all the sound, it would hurry in one direction, and very conveniently, the hunter, in this case, it could be the Maharaja or a British ruler, would be seated on the elephant in that spot, waiting for the tiger or the lion or whichever creature they are hunting to wander into that space. Is that how it is?
Yes.
So it wasn't like they went and they chased a lion or they chased a tiger.
No, that used to be before the British times. Like, they would just wait in one particular location where the beaters would drive the animals to that one place, and then they would.
Now, hunting, otherwise, I would have thought the word hunting brings memories of some great warrior. But the way you're describing it, it's almost like I'm in a zoo and I need to wait for the tiger or the lion to wander into that cage in front of me. I have a gun and I'm going to shoot it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, it's pretty full, it's quite artificial, synthetic. And it was basically just to give a boost to their ego and like self-esteem, to make themselves feel good about themselves, that they can take the life of a poor tiger by putting it in a position like that. So they wanted to lord over the tiger, that they have beaten the king of the jungle. And so they're even superior to wildlife.
Wow, I think you've just ruined any thoughts of anybody who's held that hunting had an element of courage in it.
It is not. Trained as
So, all right. But what do you think happens to the wildlife in a forest where a Maharaja is an active hunter compared to a Maharaja or a ruler, whoever you want to talk about, who is not particularly too fond of hunting? There were Maharajas who loved hunting, and then there were those who may have had greater interest in, say, administration or, taking care of the people, or maybe arts and literature and other things. Between the two, which Maharaja do you think would have kept the wildlife in his forest more safe?
The second one.
The one who was not interested in hunting, right? Well, surprise, surprise. It was actually a Maharaja who is a keen hunter who managed to take care of the wildlife and a balance of the wildlife in his forests compared to a Maharaja who is not particularly fond of hunting. Can you guess why?
Because it maintains the food chain.
That's right. It definitely maintains the food chain.
And so basically the population of the animals does not become higher than that of the people, the humans.
Oh, you mean that way? No, I don't think that was what he had to worry about. When I'm talking about the food chain, I'm just talking about the ecosystem of the forest. So I'm only talking about the food chain inside the forest. I'm not including any of the people who live there. Most Maharajas who were keen game hunters always kept a very close eye on the number of the apex predators, their prey, and the prey of the prey, and right down till the very end, which includes even taking care that there was enough forest cover, there was enough grasslands. People did not unnecessarily cut. So if you're a hunter and you want to hunt for X number of cheetahs or Y number of tigers, you have to ensure that their prey are also kept alive. What also happens if you're a Maharaja who's a very keen hunter, you will ensure that nobody in your kingdom kills a single creature without your permission. We can't even kill a wild buffalo without the permission of the Maharaja. If you look at many of the modern day national parks, we know about the Gir sanctuary, we know about Kanha, we know about Bharatpur, Ranthambore, Sariska. These are sanctuaries in Rajasthan. Then in the south, if you look at the sanctuaries of Bandipur, Periyar, which are famed reserves for tigers. Or even in the north, if you're looking at several of the sanctuaries in Kashmir, all of these were areas which were ruled by kings who were big game hunters. That's why, to a large extent, the creatures there, the wildlife there, were well preserved. Whereas the kings in the northeastern state of Manipur, they were Hindu Vaishnavite kings, and they were not particularly keen on hunting. So, if you look at the entire ecosystem balance there were quite a few animals that went pretty close to extinction at the time of Indian independence.
It must be, I don't know, pretty hard for the ruler to like keep a check on basically everything, make sure everything's in place.
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, certainly. It may have been a little easy for him because if you're a Maharaja, you can mete out punishments. Thank you so much, Shambhavi. I loved hearing you describe hunting as one of the more docile activities of the rulers. No wonder they were so fond of it, since it was just another day of picnic for some of them. So, to sort of sum up this episode, so while many of the Rajas and the Nawabs who hunted took great care of the forests, they considered the entire ecosystem when they were hunting. But the British who hunted rarely did that. They thought of wildlife in forests, especially Indian forests, in just one of two ways: animals in forests that were useful, or animals that threatened their ability to earn money. So the British were very protective of elephants because the elephants helped them carry a lot of weight and save them money. But they decimated tigers. They killed tigers at every opportunity that they could because the tigers wouldn't let the British build railroads through the forest or increase the size of their cities. So, at the time when India became independent, wildlife balance, the entire ecosystem in our forest, wasn't exactly great. In the next episode, we'll see how tigers and lions bounced back to life, and we'll also hear stories about some of those people, just like M.K. Ranjit Singh, who championed the cause of a great many number of animals and birds in Indian forests. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on the set of stories we've heard so far and any ideas for the upcoming episodes. Do write to me at hello@wsnt.in. See you soon.